Hey, hi everyone. Welcome back. So guys, as part of the previous session, we have seen small examples on a functions, right? So I'm gonna continue with one more example on a function. Example for functions. Function 2.ts. Okay, that's the file that I have created. As part of this particular session, I'm going to talk about two key important things. The first and the most important thing that I'm going to talk is about anonymous function. Okay, anonymous function. Okay, that's fine. So what exactly this anonymous function is? Okay, so what exactly this anonymous function is? Why are we using this anonymous function? Ideally, we can say that if you look at this particular documentation, a function without any name, we treat it as an anonymous function. So consider that function and space. Okay, if you look at the previous syntax, right, function space, name of that particular function, followed by a return statement, okay, followed by a return statement, open bracket and the closed bracket is the syntax. Now, as part of this anonymous function, the only thing that we need to do is a function, open bracket and the close the bracket. That's it. But this function output, you will be storing in a variable. And wherever you need to call this anonymous function, simply you will be calling this particular variable. That's it. As simple as it is. So here, what I'm gonna define right now is function. Okay, I'm gonna define a function that's accepting a name which is a string and it's gonna return a string. Okay, it's gonna return a particular string. Here, return hello plus the name that we have given. Perfectly all right. But this one I'm storing here in let greeting message is equal to. So what I have done right now for this function, I don't have any name, right? Straight away, this function output, I'm storing it in a greeting message. Wherever you want to call that particular function, you will be using simply this greeting message. That's it. You will be using this particular greeting message. Okay, so here as this is directly printing, right? So console.log, I'm gonna print this information. Okay, I'm gonna print this particular information. That's it. Expected an argument. Yes, of course, this function is expecting an argument, right? I'm giving a name as a John. Okay, console.log John, that's what I have a given. So here, when compared to that of a previous session, we have created a function, but at this time we are not giving any name. The output of a function we are storing into a particular variable, and using that you were able to call that particular function. This itself is an anonymous function. Okay, this itself is an anonymous function. Fine. As part of the previous example, if you see, this is the function where we are using to print the numbers, right? Copy this function, put it here. Okay, just copy this particular function and I just placed it here. And right now, so what I'm gonna do right now is here, these two parameters are a mandatory parameters, right? It's mandatory for us to pass these two parameters. That's what we have seen. Without these parameters, it won't even accept that particular, method. So that's the reason if you look at it. So console.log print it. So whenever I am trying to just go with the one parameter, it will not accept it. So here the point that we are gonna study is about, okay, the point that we are gonna study is about optional parameters. Okay, the point that I'm gonna study is about an optional parameters. Okay, this means we may or may not pass these values to a function. It's not a mandatory for us to pass these optional arguments to a particular function. Then how exactly you can indicate that it's an optional one? Simply using this question mark symbol. Okay, this using this question mark symbol, after the parameter name, which your TypeScript consider as an optional parameter. Okay, which your TypeScript will consider it as an optional parameter. So here what I'm doing right now is, for this particular sum, right after the variable b, I'm defining this question mark, which means this b is an optional value. Okay, right after this one we are defining and this particular chunk. That's it. Okay. And by default, I'm assigning a value 10 to that. Okay. And this is an optional argument. Parameter cannot have a question mark and an initializer. Okay. Let me remove this value. And what is the issue here? B is possibly an undefined. Okay. So ideally, it is saying that there is a possibility for undefining this particular chunk. Okay. So what can we do? We can customize this. Okay, it is saying that B is of an possibility of an undefined, right? So there is a type of a method, okay, type of a method which we have used. If the type of this B is undefined, if this type of a B is undefined, then, okay, then return a plus 10, else else return a plus b. So what it is saying, buddy, okay, buddy, you are saying that the error message, it shown up earlier, is b is a possibility of a undefined. If the b value is not defined, in such a cases, consider it as a 10 and just go with a plus 10. If b is defined, then go with a plus b. This is what the customization I have done right now. And in this case, the first sum and the second one. So it's accepting both the things. And when I run this program, see, the output got printed down to the console. In the second situation, the b value is an optional one. As it is an optional one, right? As a b itself is an optional one. If you look at it, it is going inside that. It's an undefined, and that particular value will be considered as a 10 and proceed further. So this is the way how exactly we can use, okay, this is the way how exactly we can use this optional chunk. So what I'm doing is copy this one, comment this logic, okay, copy this one, comment this logic. I think this is the whole function, right? Copy this one, comment this whole logic, and put it again, put it again. And now this time what I'm trying to do is first pass a b and then pass a. Okay, first pass b and then pass a. So your TypeScript is throwing an error message. Why? The reason out over there is, by default the optional parameter would be defined in the second one. If there is a mandatory parameter, okay, so the point here is optional parameter should come after required parameters only. So this is the case. This is not going to be acceptable. It will throw some exceptions. Okay, perfectly all right. So this is the way how exactly we can deal with these optional parameters. Okay, perfectly all right. This is all about this particular example, which as part of this session we have seen an anonymous function, and also we have seen an optional parameters. Okay, perfectly all right. See you again in the next session. Bye bye.